Speaking out oftentimes has repercussions, and many of us who've been activists over the years, some sitting here in the audience, have paid for this with impugned characters, with the rumor mill, with loss of employment, loss of career, and in a lot of cases, loss of hope. But those folks who spoke out and who insisted and refused to take no for an answer, those of us like myself who spoke up and spoke out and refused to take no for an answer when our trans activists were telling us, let's just go with the hate crimes with gender only. Gender includes us. I knew better than that. I knew better than that from speaking with our DA's office in Houston, Texas. By refusing to accept less, we insisted, and just earlier this year, we passed the first ever hate crimes bill covering gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender explicitly. It came at a great cost. The repercussions were not fair. Those of us who spoke up and insisted didn't change our minds whatsoever. We didn't change our models 1 inch. And we got what we wanted. But the folks who speak up and speak out and remain persistent at it are the ones who eventually will be heard at some point. And it has to be collective, just as it was with Day of Remembrance. It has to be something where the community itself feels that need, feels that it's time to actually speak up and to speak out. We must. Frederick Douglass once said, "It is just as criminal to rob a man of his right to speak as it would be to rob him of his money." And indeed, he's right. We need our voices. We should not allow our voices to be infringed upon. The only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. Edmund Burke, a philosopher, mentioned that, and it's true. It was true then, it is true now, it will be true in the future. When we acquiesce, when we sit silently and do nothing and do not speak out, as we did at the very beginning of this program, then nothing potentially happens. We must speak out. We must continue. And indeed, we're still not finished, even though we've got the hate crimes bill passed. The hatred will continue. And really, the lives will continue being lost. We've still got far too many people on the edge, far too many people who end up having to be out there on those streets, having to put themselves in harm's way, having to be vulnerable. It's not what any of us want, but unfortunately, it's what we've got to work with at the moment. But we do need to speak out. ENDA still needs passage. We've got an ongoing economic distress here in the country and really around the world. Our global economy is falling apart. And it's bad enough for people outside of the GLBT community. But imagine what it's like within, and especially with the most vulnerable segments within the GLBT community. Far too many of the trans community right now are living on the edge, living well below poverty, even our leaders. We need to find a way to end this. These are Dickensian times. We've made strides like never before. It's the best of times and the worst of times. But we've got a challenge that we must meet. People are on the edge, and it's actually driving some people to the edge of taking their own lives. And if you think this isn't something that we need to speak up and speak out about, guess again. Now, I disagree that it belongs within the Day of Remembrance. These are victims of violence and of murder. But the people who have gotten to that level of desperation, to the point to where there is no hope, where there is just abject emptiness, and have no other choice but to take their lives, these people need their voice too. This needs to be spoken up. As it mentioned in Ecclesiastes, there is a time to every purpose. There's a time for silence and a time to speak. When that time comes, what's your choice? Will you speak